will this be the first time with the new format of 14 divisions and 3 wildcard teams that an entire division makes the playoffs? And we're kind of referencing, could it be the NFC North is really the question at hand.
Yeah. So, for all of you that don't know, for context, as of 2020, they increased the number of teams that can actually make the playoffs because they added another wild card spot. Before it was mathematically impossible for there to actually be an entire team that can make the playoffs because there just wasn't enough wild card spots for that to be like possible. But now since they added that, theoretically that could happen if all the wild card spots were basically, it was, like the division leader makes the playoffs and then the 3 wild card spots fall into the same division. So could that be the NFC North? And we were asking that because they all have a winning record right now. The Vikings are undefeated. The Lions are 4-1, and then the Packers and the Bears are 3-2. Yeah. So I think that it is possible. I think that Kaleb Williams really showed that he's ready to take the mid-season leap. I think that rookie QBs get as they gather more confidence and in-game experience. He's been reading the field well, making smarter decisions as the seasons progress. He really is working well alongside DJ Moore, and I know they're really excited to find him on their first connection a couple days ago. I mean, against the Panthers, he had 2 touchdowns and 105 yards. So that they've been really impressive to me. Their defense has always been stifling. It's kind of a part of their culture over there, which is great for them. And then I think I'm not as high on the Packers being able to finish strong because I feel like Jordan Love is getting figured out a little bit, and I know he's not sophomore in age, but it seems like he's going through a little bit of a sophomore slump. He's been struggling early, but also I think it's because he was trying to play injured, especially in the game against the Vikings. If anybody's watching the first half of that game, they were getting blown out, and yeah, they came back at the end to make it look close, but I think the score doesn't really tell you how the game was really going, and it was very. I'm sure it was probably frustrating to watch as a Packers fan. But yeah, and as an unbiased Lions fan, I just am not personally as high on them as I was coming into the season. I think they'll be decent. They'll probably finish like 9-7 ish, 10-6 or so. But I think that it'll be from beating up on the Atlanta Falcons, the Panthers, and the like like the like bottom third teams of the world. And I think when faced with tougher competition, I don't know if they're ready for that. Just being completely honest, right? But I think the Lions and the Vikings, in my opinion, are for real. I think they're both locks, either or for the division leader or for the wild card. Both of those teams. The Vikings have played and beaten the Cowboys and the 49ers, so they have played tough competition and proven themselves. I think Sam Darnold is also for real. As much as people wanted to count him out early in his Jets career, I think that he's gotten into a great situation over there with Kevin O'Connell that is playing to his strengths in the play action game. And he's making smart reads. He's being smart with the football. Throwing it away when he has to, and he has a great receiving core with Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league, Jordan Addison. And yeah, so I think he has the weapons there to succeed, and that's why they've been 5-0, because they have a lot. They can have a lot of ways they can hurt you. You know what I'm saying? They have the great secondary, great defensive line play right now, and of course the Lions. You know what I'm saying? We ran about the Lions all the time, so I won't do that today too much. But y'all know how we get down with the Pure View podcast. Since we're from Detroit, but yeah, the Lions always rely on the strength of the offensive line. Jared Goff has been great in the play action game. He was just coming off a perfect game against Seahawks, because that was my only question mark, honestly, this year with the Lions, because I feel like Jared Goff struggled a little bit in the first 2 or 3 games, but I think it's because in the offensive play calling we got away from the run. But now we got the run game established again. We're run blocking a lot better, and he can thrive off the play action. I think we were finally back to the upper echelon of an elite offense that we knew we would be coming into the season.
We kind of have very similar, well, for a lot of these takes, we've had very similar opinions, which is pretty surprising to me, actually. But I kind of mirror a lot of what you said about the teams in the NFC North, like I don't see the Lions slipping. I don't see the Vikings slipping, surprisingly. But the two teams I kind of would watch out for if there were to be two out of that bunch who don't make the postseason would be the Bears and the Packers, and more so the Packers and the Bears. But the Bears just because anytime you have a rookie QB, like you mentioned, like he's starting to figure it out, taking that midseason leap that we saw from guys like CJ Stroud or even Jordan Love last season. As the season progresses, they start to figure things out a bit more. But you still have a young quarterback with a horrible, 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 and I will continue to emphasize this every time we talk about the Bears, but a horrible offensive line. And that's just going to make things hard on him. And I think if one thing comes to their detriment, is going to be that offensive line. And then moving on to the Packers, I kind of compare them, and this is just off the top of my head, like as we were recording this video, they're kind of like the Hornets in the most respectful way possible, but they're kind of like the Hornets in the NBA, with meaning that they have a bunch of really, really young talent who have high uh, prospects and who you're hoping to pan out, but none of their guys really have panned out to the level that you're expecting, essentially. Like, if you want to compare the star players, Jordan Love can be your LaMelo Ball, essentially, but I just kind of think they need
I
more
feel like
time.
Jaden Reed has been balling out to a degree. I mean,
But I'm saying
I don't
enough.
know.
They need more guys than just
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
select
yeah.
few. That's the biggest thing, and I just think they need more time under the belt. And this season isn't going to be their season. But yeah. So I guess to answer the question, I'm going to say I don't think it's going to happen, and I think if one of the four teams to not make, like, if I had to choose, it would be the Packers. Um, Moving forward though, on to our next take. It is, what NFL team has surprised you the most? And I'll kind of go ahead and kick this one off. The team that has surprised me the most is the Vikings. And I want to start by saying I don't think either of us had them on our top 10 teams coming into the NFL season, if I'm not mistaken. And they weren't really on my radar. I don't know about you. Or a lot of people, I don't think we were really super high on the Vikings. But I just want to start off by saying, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but Sam Darnold has been, he been hooping. Like, it's nothing else to it. He has been having a great season, and like you said, he bounced around a little bit, but he started to find his home. And I remember at the beginning of the season, and I keep seeing like sports shows talk about how he wasn't supposed to be their starting QB. I don't know 100% if that is truthful or not. I see a lot of pushback like in comment sections, but he's definitely proven himself.
Yeah, I think he was going to start either way because I don't think JJ was ready to start game one. I think if he underperformed, they might have like threw JJ in there, but I don't think that. I think he would have been starting either way, in my
Like, it was
opinion,
never really
because
up for debate.
JJ was raw prospect. Yeah,
Okay, okay, fair enough.
yeah,
But you mentioned earlier they got Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones has been really good for them, and their offensive line has been pretty formidable this year. But back to Sam Darnold, like, he just had 4 touchdowns in that game against the Texans, and they just beat the 49ers. Granted, they're a little banged up, but the 49ers and the Texans in back-to-back weeks, which is always going to be a very, very impressive feat. And the thing that also I think has been getting downplayed a little bit is that they're doing this with injuries. Like, guys like Jordan Addison, they're missing TJ Hawkinson. And I think their defense is also another thing that's kind of getting downplayed a bit, but they've just been good on both sides of the ball. They look like they like playing with each other. I've never had Vikings content come across like my For You page or on my timeline, but I've been seeing them everywhere, and I've been enjoying it. And I'm not rooting for them per se, whatsoever, because obviously they're in the NFC North. We don't want to see that happening, but they've been solid. So that is my kind of, I guess, surprising team this season. But I'll hand it over to you. What are your
yeah, for
thoughts?
sure.
Who do you have?
That's a good pick. For me personally, I have the Washington Commanders, and that is because last season, as we know, they kind of struggled with rotating QB room. I think at one point it was Taylor Heineke and like Marcus Mariota, and this a whole bunch of different like journeyman QBs that kind of weren't really the answer. They were kind of just floating by. They were 4-13 last year, and I don't and a lot of times in like it, the NFL is funny like that to where like you don't expect a team to just pop off randomly in like 1 year. You expect it to kind of be more of like a slow burn, kind of like how the Lions were like terrible. We won like 2 games that 1 year, and then like we won like five, and then we won like seven, then we won nine, and then we won like 12 last year. You know what I'm saying? Like usually when like a regime is taken over, it takes a little bit for it to kind of like get some steam. But I don't know. I think the Vikings have been playing really well this year, and I think a lot of that is due to uh their QB play with Jaden Daniels. You know what I'm saying? They're first in the NFC East right now. They're 4-1. Um, Jaden Daniels has 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but he also has 4 rushing touchdowns, and his legs are a huge asset for them. He's been averaging like 5.3 yards per carry, which is extremely efficient, and he's able to. He's smart when he runs. You know what I'm saying? He isn't taking unnecessary hits, and he's very good at throwing the deep ball. And he's basically revitalized the career of Terry McLaurin because people were high on him when he got drafted a while ago. And he's been kind of quiet recently, but he's been a really good target for him as well. And their defense was never the problem last year. I think their defense is great. But in football, your offense needs to give your defense a rest, and he's been able to sustain long drives for them. Austin Eckler also, even at his prehistoric age, has been an asset for them. Not as fast as he used to be, but definitely still efficient when he gets his carries, and very strong, powerful runner there. So yeah, I think it's really, really great what they're doing over there. That they're succeeding early in the season, and I hope, um, unless they play us, that they can keep up the momentum. Because I think it's always fun to me when I see a team that usually is like historically pretty subpar or below average doing well. So
Like
I
you
think that was
said,
my most surprising team for me.
I like the way you phrase that. Very politically correct. Uh, but to kind of round out this episode for our last take, and I'm gonna hand this one over to you, Brett, to start us off. But will the Bengals, led by Joe Burrow, make the postseason this season? They're currently sitting at 1-4, right? Tied with the Bears. So what are your thoughts, Brett? Let me hear it.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because it seems like the morale is just lost. Like I saw Joe Burrow got in a press conference the other day, and they asked him like, "Hey, like, what are your thoughts on like the team making the postseason?" And he was like, "We're not playing at a championship level." And I mean, like, while that's like true, it sucks to have your like starting QB that's like the star of your team have to say that. Um, and him and Jamar Chase have still been balling out, but again, I think it really is just like it goes back to the decisions that they made during draft day, in my opinion. I feel like they should have never taken Jamar Chase, as talented as he is. Uh, I love that we have him, but Penei Sewell was on the board, and I think that their outlook looks a lot different if they drafted a stud offensive tackle like Penei Sewell, who's the best right tackle in the league, that can help protect Joe Burrow, that can also play left tackle if needed. And like I feel like it is much easier to find acceptable receiver talent if you have a great QB and offensive line that can hold up for longer than 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So as fun as they are to watch when they're clicking, they have to. It seems like they have to like get the ball off in like 2 seconds and score like 30 points a game if they want to win, because their secondary has also been horrendous. Um, and yeah, like I think that it's going to take a lot to dig them out of the hole that they're currently in. Um, and they lost Joe Mixon over the offseason, who was also a good running back for them. I'm not exactly. I kind of forgot who the running back is right now, but it's like when people think about the Bengals, nobody ever talks about the running game anyway. It's like Joe Burrow kind of has to carry the team on his back, and that's why they kind of struggled after he got hurt last year, and they had to have Jake Browning come in. So with that being said, I think like it is theoretically possible, but since they already lost 4 games, they can only afford to lose like probably like 3 more max for them to have like a good opportunity to secure a wild card spot. So I don't know what that is going to look like for them going forward.
To start it off, my immediate answer is no. It's not. I don't think it's very likely to happen. I just want to mention Joe Burrow he's been playing really really well this season, and I don't want to take that for granted. He's like this season he's has 12 touchdowns on 2 interceptions, and he's at a 72.3% completion rate. So he's been giving it his all out there. They have Jamar Chase. They have Zach Moss, but their defense has just been so bad this year, and it's not even it's it's personnel related, but I think it's also coaching because a lot of the schemes that they're throwing out there, like I was watching some film on them earlier today, like before we recorded this, but they're just leaving guys like wide open and like stuff like that. It just what is going on? Like their schemes have been bad, and for them to make the postseason, I would say they have to win their next 4 to 5 games. Like they have no chance if they don't win these next 4 to 5. They have to win all their division games going for the rest of the season, and then they have to basically win out and hope that everyone else in their conference loses. And they have to do all of this without injuries because you got to think this is an uphill battle from here on out. So guys are gonna have to give a little bit more like extra energy on every play. And let's say they do make it all the way and they miraculously get a wild card berth, or I don't think it's even still possible, but they make it just in the postseason as a whole. Guys are going to be exhausted because you just had to spend the whole season fighting for your life just to make it
Climbing out of
here.
the hole. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's just
Yeah.
gonna that's just bad. That's not good because then that's gonna guys are gonna be more susceptible to injury and just that's never a position you want to be in. And I've seen that firsthand, like when it comes to like my team, like the Lakers, what a season or two ago when they were battling to not be in the play-in, and your guys, you run them into the ground, and then you get to the postseason and guys are fatigued. So no, for the record, I don't see them making it. But if they do give themselves a chance, it's just that's a lot of strain on your team. And I'm gonna kind of end us off with this fact. Just throwing this out there, because they did start 0-3. Out of the last 120 teams to start 0-3 in the NFL, only one has made the postseason. So the odds are not in their favor, and that's kind of how I'm going to wrap up
Did it
today.
say who that is? I'm just curious.
As far as
Did it say who that one team was that made it? I'm just curious
no,
about that.
I didn't go that far. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
not even gonna try and guess off the top of my head because I don't even know.
okay.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting fact. Um,
That's cool. Yeah,
but
very cool.
I'm gonna kind of hand it over to you, Brett. Unless you have anything to add, you can kind of wrap it up for us.
Yeah, for sure. This was a really fun episode, and we really appreciate all of you for tuning in to the Peer Review Podcast today. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. And with that being said, please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peer_review_pod and on TikTok at peer review podcast to stay up to date with our latest episode releases and all of our content going forward.
Yeah, and we just posted for the first time like last week on TikTok, so please check out those clips. We're going to be uploading a lot more in the future, and we also personally again monitor these accounts that we post on, and we love to hear your feedback. Did you like this new segment? Would you like to see more new stuff like this instead of the regular podcast stuff? Let us know what y'all think. And in reference to our usual podcast stuff, as in when we just like cover games and break down
Like
games.
analysis.
Let us know what kind of content you like to see exactly. And yeah, thank you all again. Let us know in the comments. And this is the peer review signing off.